All right, let's dive into a really fascinating parable from Nietzsche's Thus Spoke Zarathustra. We're going to see the figure of the Nazarene through the eyes of the prophet Zarathustra, but not in the way you might expect. We're not looking at a religious icon, but at a unique psychological type, a free spirit, whose entire message was really a condition of the heart.
So, picture this. We're on a mountain with the prophet Zarathustra. He's looking down from his isolated heights, watching the world below, and he decides to tell his disciples a story. It's about a very specific kind of person he once knew, someone he calls a holy fool, but also someone whose potential was tragically cut short, a man who died too early.
So what does he see when he looks down from this mountain? He sees what he calls the herd. And they are not happy people. Their hearts are heavy, weighed down by a kind of spiritual sickness. They're all desperately craving some reward in an afterlife to make up for all the suffering they feel in this one. This sickness, it has a name. That sickness is ressentiment. And look, this isn't just about being angry or resentful. It's something deeper, a kind of poisonous envy that festers in the soul. It makes people create a whole new morality, where their own weakness gets relabeled as a virtue, and the strength they see in others gets called evil. It's a morality that, at its core, says a big no to life itself.
Okay, so into this world full of bitterness and spite, this completely different character walks onto the scene. Zarathustra starts to lay out his profile of the Nazarene, a figure he finds absolutely captivating because he seems to be playing a totally different game, one defined entirely by inner realities.
Let's break this profile down. Zarathustra calls him a holy fool, right? A child of natural simplicity, a holy anarchist. Why? Because he just implicitly ignores all the external rules and structures. And this is the absolute key. He only saw inner realities. The outside world of laws, status, and judgment, it barely even registered for him. And it all comes from what Zarathustra calls a neurasthenic soul, meaning pathologically sensitive.
So you can probably guess what happens next, right? This unique psychology, it's on a collision course with the real world. We're about to see this inner world smash right into the external world of the priest. It's a clash between two completely opposing ways of being.
The priests, who are basically the embodiment of this ressentiment and its morality of imaginary revenge, they try to lay a trap for him. They drag out a sinner, a guy who's broken every rule in their book, and they demand a judgment. They're trying to force the Nazarene to play their game of guilt and punishment.
And here you can just see the two realities clashing right in front of you. On one side, you've got the priest's world. It's all built on these external ideas: guilt, punishment, the promise of a reward later on. But the Nazarene's world? It's all internal. It's just his inner reality, a feeling of bliss, and this practice of complete no resistance. He literally doesn't have the concepts to understand what they're asking.
Now this is so important to get. His refusal to judge, it wasn't some kind of clever moral tactic. For Zarathustra, it was a physiological necessity. His soul was just so incredibly sensitive, so finely tuned to inner states, that the very act of fighting back, of clashing with the world, was literally physically unbearable for him. Non-resistance was his survival mechanism.
And this all leads to his core teaching. See, eternal life isn't a prize you get after you die. It's a state of being, this feeling of bliss that you can have right now. But it's delicate. The second you clench your fist, the second you engage in conflict and resistance, poof, it's gone. It can only exist in the open, non-resistant palm. And this reframes everything, even a symbol as powerful as the cross. From Zarathustra's point of view, the priests look at the cross and see this grand cosmic payment for sin. But the Nazarene, he experienced it completely differently. For him, it was just the ultimate demonstration of his whole philosophy, proof that you could live and even die by this principle of non-resistance. It was all about a way of acting, not a system of belief. Okay, but here's the twist. This is where Zarathustra, who's been admiring this figure, suddenly slams on the brakes and offers a really powerful critique. He sees the beauty in this way of life, yeah, but he also sees a huge problem. Zarathustra lets out a sigh, right? And he says, you know, this Nazarene, he was the only true Christian, the only one who actually lived it. But then he adds this little lament. And he died too early to learn how to laugh, to affirm the earth, to become strong. He was authentic, for sure, but he wasn't complete. And this really gets us to the core question Zarathustra wants us to wrestle with.
Think about it. A life of perfect inner peace. That sounds great, right? But what if you only get that peace by running away from the world, by avoiding every conflict and challenge? Is that a life that's actually been fully lived? Or is it just a beautiful escape?
Well, Zarathustra has a name for this kind of escape. He calls it the will to nothingness. He sees the Nazarene's blissful peace not as strength, but as this subtle, kind of beautiful desire to just check out, to escape the struggle of being alive. It's a yes to your inner feelings, but a big no to the world's harsh reality.
So, here's Zarathustra's final verdict on the Nazarene. Yeah, he was a redeemer, but what did he redeem you from? From the world itself. He offered this escape into a perfect inner world because, honestly, his hypersensitive nature just couldn't handle, let alone master, the outer one. He was a bridge, but a bridge too fragile to carry you to a stronger way of life.
But Zarathustra isn't just here to tear things down. He doesn't leave us in despair. He offers a powerful alternative, a brand new ideal for humanity to shoot for, and that is the Overman.
And when you put them side by side, the difference is just night and day. On one hand, you have the Nazarene's ideal, that passive, decadent bliss, a will to nothingness that hides in an inner world. And on the other, the Overman, active self-mastery, driven by what Nietzsche calls the will to power, this basic drive to grow, to overcome. His kingdom isn't inside his head. It's right here, on the earth itself.
So, the Overman's kingdom isn't some quiet garden you retreat to. No way. It's forged in the fire of life. It's powered by the will to power, that basic drive everything has to get stronger. It's defined by the will to life, which means saying yes to everything, the good and the bad. And it's tested by this ultimate thought experiment, eternal recurrence. Could you live your exact life with all its pain and joy over and over forever? The Overman screams yes.
And this brings us to Zarathustra's final, triumphant cry. The Nazarene showed you how to find a kingdom in a heartbeat, a beautiful but fragile thing. But I, Zarathustra says, I teach you the Overman, who doesn't run from the world, but masters it, and finds his kingdom in the real, messy, beautiful earth itself.
So, we'll leave you with this question to chew on. When life throws its challenges at you, which path seems more compelling? Is it the one of inner peace, of finding a quiet kingdom inside yourself? Or is it the path of engagement, of getting your hands dirty and building your kingdom right here on earth?